Corey, get a grip.
If you were a 90s kid, you must have been living under a rock if you did not know Topanga from Boy Meets World. Danielle Fishel, who played Topanga, was all over our screens in the 90s, and she was one of the stars of that hit sitcom, Boy Meets World. But you know what? Her time was filled with a lot of stress, starting from her first day on set. Fishel described her 12-year-old self as bubbly, fast-talking, and spunky. And she found it was really hard to speak slowly, like what was required for her to do on set. So Danielle was actually not supposed to be a series regular. She was coming on as a guest spot, and she actually got the role of Topanga from the original girl who was supposed to be playing Topanga. While she caught the eye of the directors, the executive producers of the show, they were critical of her because it was her first acting job. So creator of the show, Michael Jacobs, was initially annoyed because she was speaking too fast for them, I guess. And she recounted that day, the end of rehearsals on the first day, Jacobs gave her some really harsh feedback, and he even threatened to fire her. That was on her first day. She went home with her mom, she practiced all night, and she returned the next day, and she nailed it. But think about the stress of a 12-year-old knowing this is her big break and having someone say, you know what, you were horrible. If you don't get this right, you're done. And keep in mind, Danielle was 12 years old when she started her role as Topanga. So let's talk about the way that Danielle was objectified as a young girl. Keep in mind, Danielle was 12 years old when she started her role as Topanga on Boy Meets World. Of course, she was beautiful, her style was amazing, but she had men, grown men, telling her that they were waiting until she turned 18 years old. Let's talk a little bit about Danielle's background. Danielle was born Danielle Christine Fishel on May 5th, 1981, in Mesa, Arizona. She began acting professionally at the age of 10, during which she made many TV guest appearances and she did commercials. She was originally cast as a guest star on Boy Meets World in 1993. But Danielle added a spark to the show that the show really needed, and she became a regular cast member shortly after that point. She played Topanga Lawrence on the show, the girlfriend of Corey Matthews. The show brought Danielle a lot of attention. It landed her on the face of 17 magazine. Her hair was coveted by girls across the country, and she was voted as one of Teen People's most hottest stars under the age of 21. There is no doubt that Danielle was an it girl in the 90s. But Danielle's been opening up recently about her time on the show, her time in the spotlight as a young person, and how she was objectified. So Danielle said that an executive on the show told her he was waiting for her to turn 18. This is when she was 12, 13 years old. And now Danielle's 42 years old, and she has a podcast with some of her other cast members from Boy Meets World. And, you know, they've been talking about what the experience was like for them. And she was asked what it was like to become an object of desire at such a young age. And she said she didn't think much about it until she was older. And that's when she realized that there were many instances of adult men being quote unquote creepy toward her. She says, as a kid, I always wanted to be older. I wanted to be an adult. I wanted to be seen as an adult. So getting adult male attention as a teenage girl, I didn't think of it as being creepy or weird. I felt like it was validation that I was mature and I was an adult and I was capable, and that they were seeing me the way I was, not for the number on a page. And in hindsight, that is absolutely wrong. And you know, this is a common sentiment, especially with young teen stars. They are given this role of being an adult at a young age, right? They're working. A lot of times they're supporting their families. They are working alongside adults, right? The producers, the directors, sometimes even their castmates. And so they are living in two different worlds. They're a kid, but then they're doing all these adult things. So of course, when you're a kid, you know, most kids, they want to be seen as grown-ups. They want to be taken seriously. And this is one of the ways that it's very easy for these young actors to be exploited because they are desiring to be validated by these adults, and the adults can take advantage of that. So Danielle goes on to say, I've always been able to hold a conversation with an adult. I can look you in the eye. I've always been those things. But in a romantic, male gaze sense, I should not have been outwardly talked about at 14, 15, 16 years old. And I was, even directly to me. I had people tell me they had my 18th birthday on their calendar. And Danielle goes on to say that she did a calendar when she was a teenager. And she says that a male executive had a specific calendar month in his bedroom. You know, a lot of these photos, I'm going to put some up on the screen right now, but a lot of these calendar photos in this day and age, if we had a 15-year-old doing a calendar like this, I mean, there would be quite a bit of backlash, but it was a little bit more of the norm back then. And so imagine a grown man saying, I have this particular photo on my wall. It's not acceptable. But Danielle goes on to say that she was a kid and it didn't strike her as being wrong or inappropriate because she wanted to be an adult and be treated as an adult. And she figured, well, that's the way that you interact with people as an adult. But she wasn't an adult. Even as a teen, I remember how the media would discuss Danielle's features, you know, her long hair, being voluptuous. And it's shocking because it would be less acceptable today. And Danielle also had a lot of focus put on her features, her hair, especially her weight. I want to talk about her weight. So in season 7, there was an episode called She's Having My Baby Back Ribs. Topanga and Corey's brother Eric go on a secret diet. And Corey overhears a conversation they're having, and he assumes that Topanga's pregnant. And the assumption becomes a rumor and it spins out of control among their circle of friends. So what's interesting about this is that both Danielle Fishel and her castmate, Will Friedel, they were going through their own struggles with weight. So Danielle had gained a few pounds. Will was on medication that caused him to gain weight, and they were both really self-conscious about it. So Danielle was thicker than she had been in the past. And so imagine a storyline about weight gain on the show that's mirroring a struggle that you're going through in your real life and being a teen and having to navigate that. And, you know, the whole cast talked about how there was a significant amount of objectification of teens on the show. Most of these kids were like 12 to 17 years old, and they were kissing without intimacy coordinators on set. And that means that the kids just had to do whatever the directors told them to, even if it made them uncomfortable. So back in the 80s, back in the 90s, female actresses were known for their signature hairstyles. You wouldn't see things that we see now with, you know, somebody in the media, a public figure changing their hair every week. That was not the case. You had a signature hairstyle and you stuck with that hairstyle. And changing that hairstyle was always seen as a big deal. So Danielle had said, you know, in her personal life, she wanted to cut her hair. She hadn't had her hair cut since she was like 4 years old. But she didn't realize that the decision or the desire to cut her hair was going to be met with so much pushback and that it would be such a big deal. So like I said, Danielle wanted to cut her hair. She knew she couldn't just cut it on her own. She had to ask for permission because she was on the show. So she went to Boy Meets World co-creator and executive producer Michael Jacobs and said, hey, I want to cut my hair. And he was like, no, you cannot. Your hair is your trademark. And Danielle says that that was the first moment that she thought to herself, wow, am I really known for my hair? I personally don't really buy it because the girl knew that people loved her hair. Michael Jacobs said, well, okay, if you want to cut it, let me at least write an episode about it. So it was Danielle's idea to cut her hair. They orchestrated it on set. Danielle said that she hadn't cut her hair since she was a toddler. She was sick of it, and they were able to actually write it into the show. Danielle cut her own hair on the show. And it was an iconic moment. It was season 4, episode 2 of Boy Meets World. The episode was called Hair Today, Goon Tomorrow, and it was just one of those amazing moments in TV. Now, of course, people were like, oh my goodness, Danielle cut her hair. She, is known for that hair. But I think it did mark a transition, probably for Danielle to kind of be seen more seriously. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.